Hi friends! Today I'm going to be sharing with you my review of these Kelly Creates brush pens. I've been getting some questions about these and if I've tried them or if I like them and would do a review on them, so I decided to see if I could find some. I was able to get the perfect brush pen, the dual tip pack, and then I was also able to get the 3-pack of the multi-sized brush pens, and those are just in black. So I'll be going over both of those here for you today, letting you know what I think about them and giving you some color swatches and then showing you the black ones as well. So let's just get right into it. I'm going to show you the double tip brush pens first and show you the differences between the two. It starts out with a larger size tip and a smaller size tip, although I will say that I got a comment from somebody saying that with both of these tips you actually get pretty much the same size of a downstroke, and the difference is in your upstroke, which actually is true. I didn't think about that, but when you look at the lettering using both sides, you can kind of see that they both really give you the same size downstroke, but the difference is that the super skinny side gives you a very skinny upstroke. So this is the larger size, and just for comparison's sake, I'm showing you the Tombow dual brush pen next to it. As you can see, it's quite a bit smaller than the Tombow dual brush pen, but you can get a decently thick stroke going down. And then this side is really the cool side. It's very unique. It's a really skinny brush, which allows you, like I said, to get a thick downstroke with a very thin upstroke. So I'm just going to give you an example of lettering with both of these here. So as you can see, it's kind of a medium to large size brush pen, and I would kind of compare this to like an Artline Stix marker or maybe the Staedtler brush pens. I'm not sure if a lot of people have tried those, but I will compare them a little bit later. And again, this is the really unique side that gives you a really thin upstroke. I will say that one struggle though is that you have to be very careful and go very slow to get from that thick downstroke to the thin upstroke. If you just kind of go too quickly, it'll kind of just flop from one to the other, and you also have to have a pretty steady hand, so it shows every little wiggle. And so I think that this brush pen is something that people could really love if they spend a lot of time practicing with that specific pen, but I wouldn't expect for you to feel amazing using it immediately, because it does take some getting used to, and I've not even used it a whole ton, but it does take some getting used to, and I noticed that the more I lettered with it, the easier it was, but it was kind of hard to get those transition strokes without them looking like they just flopped from one to the other. So I'm just swatching these colors for you. As you can see, there's a really big variety with some really pretty jewel tones added into there, which of course I love. And then next I'm just going to show you the comparison between the Artline Stix and the Staedtler brush pens. Like I said, they kind of remind me of each other. They're not super flexible. At least this larger tip isn't super flexible like the Tombow brush pen. And so if you've used either of these markers, you kind of know that when you push down, it just kind of pushes a little bit. It doesn't totally bend down like the Tombow brush pen or the Zig brushables or other pens like that are really flexible, but it does have a little bit of give and a little bit of flexibility with this one. And as you can see, they also look pretty similar in the results that you get between the three of these. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the smaller tip side, and like I said, I do think that for beginners there might be a little bit of a struggle going from that thin to thick stroke and kind of reversing them, just because if you don't go slow enough, it will just kind of transition straight from a really thin line, as you can kind of see on my C there, and then just go immediately thick. So I wanted to show you two different angles of writing with this brush pen. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I write pretty straight up and down. I don't write with a large slant, but I did find with this brush pen that it was a little bit easier to write with a slant kind of going to the right. And so I'll give you an example of both of those, and you can kind of choose for yourself. But if you have an issue transitioning from your thin to your thick strokes or the other way around, you can always try, even with any brush pen, to add a little bit more of an angle to your lettering, and you might have a little bit easier of a time with those transitions, and then you can kind of just develop your own style based upon that. I think that I write pretty up and down because of how I hold my pen, so it's just a personal preference. You can do it either way, but I just wanted to show you both examples just in case you had that struggle with these like I did a little bit at the beginning. Overall, I know a lot of you have asked me what I thought about these. I really like this size because it's so unique. I'm not sure it's something that I'll use all the time just because it does kind of change my lettering style quite a bit to do those really, really thin upstrokes. That's not typically how I letter. So I don't know if these are going to be the first thing that I grab for, but they're really fun and really unique. The one thing that I will say is they were very expensive. I like that they're a dual tip, but I wasn't super impressed by the thick tip. So I guess I just kind of felt like maybe if it was just the smaller tip and it was a little bit more inexpensive, that would have been really awesome. But for this pack, it was $30 and I was able to use a Michaels coupon, and that's why I purchased them. But if you didn't have a coupon, that's pretty expensive. I think they were a pack of 10, so that's like $3 a pen. And I know that's comparable to some of the other ones out there, but like I said, I just didn't find the flexibility in the larger tip. And like I mentioned that comment before, how you really get a similar downstroke with each pen. I'm not sure that they're super different enough to warrant that price. So I guess I would just love to see them maybe available in singles, or maybe just with this skinny tip side for people to try. Again, it's totally a personal preference, like I said, but I just wanted to mention that because I have heard comments about how expensive they are, and I will agree with you. Definitely try to find a Michaels coupon before you purchase these. Now, I know that a lot of people want to know about blending with specific markers, so that I thought that I would try a couple of blending techniques. This one's my favorite, where you just kind of put the tip to the tip and let the ink bleed out from one to the other. I didn't have a great experience with this specific tip doing that because I think just because the tip's so skinny, all of the purple kind of left immediately, whereas if you use a larger brush like the Tombow dual brush pen, you get a lot more blending throughout your letter. But I did another version of blending where I just kind of colored the color onto a ceramic coaster, or you can use plastic or a baggie or something like that. And this actually created such beautiful lettering. I think just the size of the tip and then being able to pick up the color and watch it blend through, it was so pretty, and I really love this version of it. You just have to make sure, like I said, because the tip is so small, I think you have to pick up that extra color quite a bit more often, but the result is so pretty. It's definitely worth it. Just make sure when you're blending, you always dip your lighter color into the darker color, and then when you're done, you can just kind of write off the color onto your paper so that your pen goes back to the normal color. Now, the next thing that I'm going to show you is this 3-pack. This is 3 different sizes. There's a fine, a medium, and a large, and I'm just going to show you how I use these. The first one is pretty thin, and it really reminds me of the Pentel Sign Pen. I'll do a little comparison later, but these smaller 2 tips are really great for beginners because they're just a little bit easier to control. I found that they wrote really smoothly on my paper, and they just had a really beautiful look to them. Like I said, when you're a beginner, it can be a little bit difficult to control a big floppy brush pen. When it comes to brush pens, I think that we really want them to be very, very flexible so that you can get those thick and thin strokes. But when they're really large, it can be hard to keep track of where your brush pen is going. So I really loved these 2 smaller ones, especially this medium one. They're really pretty. They wrote really smoothly. I felt like they had a lot of ink. I know that the Tombow Funosuke brushes, a lot of times they run out of ink really, really quickly, like with just a couple of uses. So I really liked that they felt like they were full of ink. I've used them on quite a bit of paper, and I didn't find them running low, but I'll definitely update you if I find that they run out really quickly, or I'll leave a description in the comments box below if I find that I struggle with them a little bit later. And here I'm just going to compare them to the Tombow Funosuke brushes, and then that bottom one is the Pentel Touch Pen. I really love the Pentel Touch Pen. Those last so long. I still have my original ones that I bought probably a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit less, but it's been a long time, and I've never had one dry out on me except for if I've left the cap off, and they just write really nicely. So I'm really hoping that these Kelly Creates last that long. We will see. Like I said, I'll update you below. But here's just an example of how they look. They might be slightly thicker than some of these, and I think that the Pentel Touch Pen feels like it might have a slightly longer tip, but it's so minor and so little, so it's really hard to compare the two. And I probably should have edited this out, but I left it in anyway because even I grabbed the wrong Pentel brush pen and thought it was a brush pen, but it was really just the Pentel sign pen because they are so similar looking. If you have not seen my video about comparing the two and how to tell the difference, I will leave a link below. But I do not understand still why these two pens look almost identical when they're so different. It makes it really difficult to make sure you grab the right one. So that is it for today. Overall, like I said, I really like the smaller tip. I wasn't as big of a fan as the larger tip, but it was kind of a nice bonus. Definitely make sure to find a coupon if you head to Michael's so that you can get 40% off. And these are a really great pen to try. And I really, really love those two smaller sizes. The larger size was great as well, but I think that beginners will really like those two smaller sizes. So again, thank you so much for watching. Leave any questions in the comments box below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me over on Instagram at howtohandletter, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.